Good morning, everyone. If you can find your seat. Okay, we're starting with a message out to everyone before our keynote. Good morning, Twin Rivers, and those of you here in Bay D with me. I want to begin by welcoming you to your day 2 of PD. I need to begin by sharing the importance of attending the sessions you're assigned to. We learned yesterday that some staff went to sessions that they weren't assigned to, which really caused problems for our presenters because some sessions were overloaded instead of the balanced numbers they should have been. We thoughtfully plan for the numbers to ensure that everybody receives the high-quality PD experience that we strive for here in Twin Rivers. In order to process payment and ensure everyone has the best professional experience, please sign in where you are assigned to go. If you are in a different PD than you were assigned to, we won't be able to process payment as you were assigned to a different session. PD is planned carefully in accordance with numbers. Now, we understand that there is a high interest in the Afghan culture sessions that are taking place at Grant today. For the people in front of me, some of you may be thinking you wish you would have been there. We will continue to offer that session in 4 to 6 p.m. sessions over the course of the year. Thank you in advance for adhering to the guidelines we've established for professional development. If anyone in a session out there in Twin Rivers land needs to move to the correct session, please do so. We'll begin our keynote in about 5 minutes. Thank you. If there's anyone in this session that's RSP or SPED, and you're thinking, I'm not sure if I'm assigned to this session, RSP people, you're fine. And I know I have KEMA visitors, you're fine. Thank you. No panic. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for quieting down here in Bay D. Thank you. Thank you for quieting down. I appreciate it. Here in Bay D, we have the honor of having Doug Fisher live in front of you. For our keynote, Doug is being live streamed out to our friends across Twin Rivers. This is my second year that I've had the honor, of introducing Doug to everyone. When I asked Doug how many books he's written, he said, I don't know, a lot. So he's written a lot of books. What I really appreciate with our partnership with Doug is his wisdom, his approach to providing insightful information as we go about looking at teacher clarity and supporting our students. So without further ado, please welcome Doug Fisher, our keynote for the day.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. We go next week. This look is for us next week. Our teacher work week is next Monday, so I still have one more week. Right? Yeah, but we go longer than you. So way into June, we're still there. So what I want to talk about a little bit today is reminding you about student engagement and then doing a little bit of refresher on teacher clarity for the first session today. We talked about engagement last year. You'll remember this engagement continuum from last year, and I argued that we should teach our students about engagement, that we should not expect that last year's teacher did this because they don't know how to engage for us. And I reminded you that Amy Berry had these 6 levels of engagement, and engagement wasn't a yes, no. So I'm going to do a little update on this and kind of where we are now. I'm going to start with a 4th grade teacher from last year. She spent the first couple days of her school year having students brainstorm what this would look like in our class. And these are student comments. I took the first page of them. For example, what does it look like when we are disrupting our learning? These are things students brainstorm. Do you notice that they know what disruption looks like? They may not have had the words for it. This is what it looks like when we're avoiding an art learning, or what it looks like when we're withdrawing from our learning, or what it looks like when we're participating in our learning, or what it looks like when we're investing in our learning, or what it looks like when we're driving our own learning. How do we get students to make choices, set their intention, and reflect each day? How do we have students do that? I'm going to give you a couple examples. This is a school in Santa Barbara. This thing they have here was smaller and bigger versions all over their whole school. Every classroom, every hallway, lunchroom, principal's office, vice principal's office, counselor's office, everywhere I went, that was there. So I got to talk to a bunch of students. And then I will show you a high school version in a moment. But I got to talk to a bunch of students, and I want you to listen to this kid's perspective on being taught about engagement.
My name is Dominic, and I am in 4th grade, and I am in Harding School. There are levels of engagement in our classroom. It goes from disrupting, avoiding, withdrawing, participating, investing, and driving. Driving is the best, disrupting is the worst. In our classroom, we assess our levels of engagement, and then we set goals on which level we want to get to and how we are going to do it.
So where are you right now in the level of engagement?
I am in this area. I used to be right here, but over the past few weeks I started going from participating to it. So I'm in this range, like one of my worst days of the week when I'm like not concentrated, I could be out withdrawing. But when I'm feeling good, when I'm focused, I'm at driving.
So how did you do that?
I did more about seeking. I seek more feedback in the weeks that I got to driving. So now I'm mostly at either investing or driving. Yeah.
Thank you, Dominic.
Yes, thank you, Dominic. And I have permission from his parents to tell you this. Dominic has an IEP. Did you hear self-regulation of speech and of behavior. So this teacher and this school said, this is what it looks like to engage. These are the choices you make as a learner. And that you heard Dominic say, I'm getting more and more over here. There are all kinds of ways we can do this. Now this school partnered, this is a high school that partnered with a local elementary school. And they had the high school students go teach the elementary school students about engagement, and then they would check in every so many weeks with the students around their engagement. And this high school said, if we get our students to teach engagement, they might learn a little bit better.
Beginning of the semester, we went to elementary school to talk to the kids about the levels of engagement or levels of learning. In the beginning of the semester, we just stood at the front of their class and talked to them about what the levels were and how they worked for us on the high school side of the spectrum instead of the elementary side. This week, we got to get more personal with the kids, sit in small groups with them, get to know them personally and how they interpreted the levels.
The previous lesson y'all had, what was something that you could take from it? Like, what's something that you can bring up? Like, if I were to come into your class and ask you what we're learning, what was something you could tell me?
We're learning about, like, how do animals adapt to, like, the coldness, like, over there, they're adapted to, like, the cold and ice and stuff. And then adapt to, like, camouflaging and stuff. Same thing with the lizards, camouflaging.
See, now you value your learning and you took like the things that you're curious about and you told me. So it's like you were the teacher, you're teaching me how to do it, or like teaching me what I need to do. That's what I mean, like the value of learning. Like, you're really understanding everything and being able to where you can tell someone else like, hey, this is what I learned about. We learned about different animals that adapt.
Some of the ideas we had with my level, which was participation, was what I heard DK say was you're there but you're not really there. Pretty much lays it out for you. You're there listening, maybe answering a few questions, but then again you're not fully in tune with the lesson. I could relate to that because there's some days where you're feeling it and you're answering questions and you're on a roll. There's other days where you're hearing but you're not listening. There's a big difference between those two. And I feel like he really summed it up in that one small sentence.
So is it like when our teacher says to turn and talk to our neighbor, or when is talking considered? When the teacher is listening. Oh. Let's say okay, so chit chat while the teacher is talking is going to be our disruptor. And talking something that's not about learning. Talking about things that are not related to our learning.
I'm drawing kind of like when this student comes, he's sitting down and then he gets up, and then there's this other girl that came up from her seat, and she was going to talk to him too, and then they both distracted, and then the teacher is mad because they're trying to avoid their learning and not listening to the teacher.
Oh. And mine is, this is the book right here, and they're at their desk, and then they got up, and then this is a basketball, so they're playing with it now.
I think investing is when someone raises their hand and gives a braveness to learn and actually value learning.
Okay. So these are some of the things that I got. Asking questions about what we are learning. So I got that one. Pretty smart. Next is valuing what we are learning. So valuing. Like, how do you value your learning? Go ahead.
I value it because it gets you ready for the 5th grade and gets you ready for the start.
That's good. That's good. Start.
This actually helped me learn a lot because you hear from adults all the big fancy words from adults, and you understand it, but you don't realize how simple it really is until you talk to the kids about it, and they lay it down in front of you, and it's like you didn't expect it to be that easy, so that helped me get a deeper understanding of it.
Oh yes, the power of peer tutoring, right? When you have to teach it to someone else, you have to learn it a whole nother time. So that high school took it on and said, we're going to adopt these elementary school kids And the high schoolers will actually learn more from having to teach engagement to the elementary school kids. So we've been at this a really long time. Here's another example of a teacher. So this is an audience response system. Where were you today? Disrupting, avoiding, withdrawing, all the way through here. And then a graph for checking in with students during the lesson. What is your level of engagement? What was your intention, and where are you? Here's an exit slip that another teacher created. Before the lesson, where are you at? And what was your level of engagement? And then what did you enjoy? What did you like, etc. This is our most current version. The first row here is pretty much the same as the last year. But now we've started talking about what does it look like when you're working with a group? Because we noticed last year was a little hard to get students back into their groups talking together in productive ways. So maybe we have to teach them. When you're engaging with peers and you are disrupting, this is what it looks like. When you're engaging with peers and you're participating, this is what it looks like. So we added that second row. And then the bottom in the gray, what is the teacher's goal? Because sometimes all you really want is for them to do the tasks you ask them to do, right? For the next 10 minutes, can you please complete this task? Maybe 10 minutes later, you want them to move into investing. It's not that every minute of every lesson has to be at the driving level. But we're clearer now with students, and we say, what I want you to be doing is participating. What I want you to be doing is investing. We use that language on a regular basis. You will hear that across the school, that we are teaching students what it means to engage. We're having them set their intention, and then having them reflect in a variety of ways, depending on the grade level. So I remind you of this because soon you will meet your students for this coming year. And what assumptions are you making about what they know about engagement? And what are you willing to start the year with saying, this is what I expect, this is how this classroom's going to work, how do you use these terms? So you'll have this PowerPoint. If you want to use this exact version, modify it, etc. I really like it when we have students brainstorm what it looks like in this class for each of the levels. And they start to say, in this class, this is what it's going to feel like. So we'll leave that engagement continuum. Today, the session I have with all of you, we are learning about engagement again and helping students drive their learning. I hope you're at a place where you're thinking about, how can I use that engagement continuum? Can I use that engagement continuum to have students set their intention? And if you want to change the words, you want to change the language with your department, have at it. And then the clarity questions help students engage. So we're going to do a little update on our clarity questions. I hope right now you're saying like, yep, I'm going to be thinking about that engagement continuum. I'm thinking about how to use it. I introduced these 3 questions to you as well last year. And I argued that every lesson, students should be able to answer these questions. What am I learning today? Why am I learning this? And how will I know that I learned it? That first question is, we call it a learning intention. You can call it a learning goal, a learning target, a learning objective. I don't care what you call it. What are students learning today? I'll show you a couple of videos of different teachers setting students up for, here's what we are learning today.
Ok, buenos días. Qué bueno, vamos a empezar de nuestro, ¿qué es esto en amarillo? ¿Qué es esto en amarillo, Paul? Exacto, ¿qué es esto? Learning Objective. ¿Qué es Learning Objective? ¿Quién puede decirme, Marisol? Más fuerte, cariño. Exacto, es lo que vamos a aprender hoy. Muy bien, vamos a preparar nuestras manitas y vamos a decir cuál es nuestro Learning Objective de hoy. Yo aprendo a identificar el sonido de la letra. Muy bien, ahora sin mí.
Yo aprendo a identificar el sonido de la letra.
Muy bien, ahora gira con tu compañero. Pregunta, ¿cuál es tu Learning Objective de hoy? Bien. Daniel, con ellas, por favor. Muy bien. ¿Quién me puede decir cuál es nuestro Learning Objective de hoy? Joana.
Aprendo a identificar
Muy bien, Joana. ¿Quién más? ¿Quién más me puede decir? Samantha. Cierto, una vez más, juntos. Muy bien, ahora, ¿quién me puede decir en el color rosa, qué es esto, Joseph? Sí, señor, ¿qué es esto? ¿Y qué es Success Criteria, Daniel? ¿Qué es Success Criteria? ¿Para qué sirve Success Criteria?
¿Aprendimos o no aprendimos?
Para ver si hemos aprendido o todavía no hemos aprendido. Y si no hemos aprendido, ¿vamos a llorar? No. ¿Qué, Paul? ¿Qué pasará si no aprendimos? ¿Qué necesitamos?
Necesitamos un poquito más tiempo y práctica.
High five, sí, señor. Necesitamos un poquito más de tiempo y de práctica. Vamos a ver, ¿cuántos Success Criteria tenemos? Joana, 2, ¿cierto? Vamos a decir el primero. Yo puedo reconocer el sonido de zapatos, ¿cierto? Ok, vamos a ver, ahora sin mí.
Yo puedo reconocer el sonido.
Muy bien, gira con tu compañero, pregunta, ¿cuál es tu primer Success Criteria?
¿Cuál es tu primer sonido?
Okay, are they so adorable? And you all don't teach that age of kids. I know. I'm talking to the people on the computer. Those of you who hang out with me the rest of the day, we'll do more on secondary. But I want to show that we can do this across the grade levels. Now, you may not have audience response. You may not have them sitting on the carpet. But what will you do to make sure your students know what it is we're learning today? Because if they know what they're learning, they are 3 times more likely to actually learn it from you. It's low-hanging fruit. If we are clear on what we want students to learn, they are 3 times more likely to actually learn it. It shows one more.
Oh, class?
Oh, yes.
Mirror words up.
Smart
Today,
Today,
I am learning
I am learning
to create a 3D origami sculpture. All right, mirror words down. Okay, and then how do we know that we learn our objective? How do we do that? Let's see here. Let's get Asane. How do we know that? We look at our, yeah, can you say that a little bit louder? Success criteria. Yeah, and who can read some of our success criteria? Let's see, let's do Joseph, let's do Layla, and Serenity.
I can identify 2D shapes.
Okay, next one.
I can compare 2D shapes and 3D forms.
And?
I can fold 2D paper to create 3D origami board.
All right, so there's some key words here that I want you guys to focus. Identify, compare, and fold. These are the things that we're going to do today so that we know that we have learned how to create a 3D sculpture, right? Now let's see if we know really what that means. So I want you to grab your boards, grab your whiteboard marker, and I want you to write our lesson objective in your own words. What does this mean to you? That we're going to learn to create a 3D origami sculpture. Let's do a minute, Joseph. All right, I like that. I like how Allison is writing her sentence with a capital letter. Thank you, friend. All right, how much time do you got, Joseph?
30 seconds.
All right. Oh, good job, friend. Oh, yes. Oh, I like how Daniel's even has a picture to go with his sentence. If you got a check mark, can you please stand up? All right. Can you share, Daniel, what you wrote, and can you show your class what you wrote and what you drew?
We are learning to make origamis.
All right, and can you tell them about your picture?
That we make 2D shapes into 3D.
All right, can you show your class? All right, thank you, sir. And then Amarani,
I'm learning origami foam.
can you show your class? All right, forms, good job. And then Serenity?
We are learning about origami.
Okay, great, thank you.
These two teachers work at the same school. It's very consistent across their school. They're in Texas, and they are one of the beating the odds schools in Texas, in Dallas, Texas. And every class I went to, there was some amount of audience response and very clearly what you're learning. When I walked up to kids, I say, what are you learning today? Every kid that I encountered could tell me what they were learning. And I'm not surprised that their achievement lines up with that. The second question we ask is, why are we learning this? In the sessions we do the rest of the day, we're going to spend some time analyzing this research study that came out that says they analyzed 65 articles about how teachers make learning relevant to students. And there's a continuum of relevance from I don't care at all about what you're teaching me to I'm 100% in on what you're teaching me. So we're going to talk about that relevance. We need to spend a little bit more energy on this question this year. Here's why. Jenkins Curve comes out every couple years. It's been out for 30 years. And they interview/survey students about how interesting school is. Are you surprised that 97% of kindergartners say school is interesting? I think the kindergarten teachers could teach about a paperclip and the kids would be like, best day ever, right? Now, the Jenkins Curve says by 5th grade, relevance and interest in school drops to 55%. By 8th grade, relevance drops to 25%. And it stays at 1/4 of the students all the way through high school. Only about 1/4 of our students in adolescence find school relevant and interesting. We have to figure out how to show them this is worth your attention. This is worth your time. This will help you get ahead in life. So we're going to spend more time in the breakout session on this, but having kids talk about why are we learning this? By the way, when students find relevance in the learning, they are more likely to self-regulate their behavior. If I believe it's worth my attention, I will behave in certain ways that are consistent with what you want. So I was asking a student, the lessons were about selecting tools for reading, and I was talking to the student like, what are you learning? Why are you learning this? How will you know you learned it? So I want you to think about if this student was coming into your middle school, what does this kid already know?
Learning about like using like tools in your mind about like when you're, it's not like physical tools, like actual tools you use for like building stuff like hammers and wrenches. It's like tools that can help you understand the context of the text. Like, I'd say like, say you're reading some, like I'm just gonna say like a chapter book, and say you come up a part of the book that you can't understand. So you may want to ask your mind, is it a good time to pull out the tools to help me understand the book, this part of the book? Say you're reading and then we're the same scenario and you're choosing a tool, but you don't know which one, or you don't know which one. You just maybe try out one of the tools. If it doesn't work, try another one. If it doesn't work, try another one. First, you gotta pay attention to your brain. Then you may want to ask it, am I really getting this? Do I need a tool to help me out with this part of the book? And then depending on what your brain answers or what your heart answers, you can start pulling out the tools. But if you fully understand it, then you just continue on with the book.
Santi will start 7th grade on Monday. And if you were Santi's 7th grade teacher, this kid knows a lot of stuff. The kid's very strategic. Kid sees relevance in the lessons around selecting tools when you're stuck in your reading. It would be your job to build on that, to make sure Santi says, it's still relevant, it's still interesting, it's still worth my time. Our third question, how do I know I learned it? This is the hardest one. We have spent a lot of years struggling with what does successful learning look like? We're getting better at it. We have a lot of work to do on how we make sure students know what success looks like. Now, the recent studies that have come out about success criteria say when students know what successful learning looks like, they feel safer. Their anxiety is reduced because they know how they're going to be evaluated. After all, we're going to put things on their transcripts, right? High school teachers, middle school teachers, we give them transcripts. And those grades open doors or close doors to college. A single C on your high school transcript will lock you out of a whole list of colleges. You will never get into this whole list of colleges for a single C. It doesn't seem fair to get a C if you had no idea what you're supposed to learn or what successful learning looks like. If you deserve a C, you deserve a C. But if you had no idea what success looked like and you got a C and now you can't go to any of these colleges, it doesn't seem fair. Now, for those of you in the elementary school system, there's evidence that parents change their perspectives about their children based on what teachers write on report cards. We influence how grown-ups think about their own children. So it's pretty powerful. So it doesn't seem fair to do that if we don't know what success looks like. I chose a first grader. This is another kid from Texas, same school I showed you from the other two teachers. This is a first grade student. Watch the technology skills. Now, this is a screencast, so you won't see the first grader. You will see the first grader's screen, and you will hear the first grader's voice processing. When I saw this, I said, why aren't the ninth graders I teach doing this? And so I started a whole self-assessment screencasting like this.
My learning goal is I am learning how to use addition and subtraction strategies to solve problems. My success criteria questions. Can I write the number sentence? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Can I use objects or pictures to show how I'm solving the problem? Yes, I can. Can I find the missing value? Yes, I can. So what I did was I looked at the first number, and then I built the first number, and then I circled 5, x'd out 9. 11 minus 5 equals 6. 10 minus 7 equals 3. 12 minus 4 equals 8.
Pretty impressive of the first grader, right? Technology skills were strong. Thinking about my thinking is strong. Reflecting on my learning is strong. Are you surprised when you saw that one? I told you the school, the same kindergarten teacher and fourth grade art teacher, same school. They have a deep commitment to their students knowing what it is they're learning. Success criteria helps students plan and predict, set goals, judge their own progress, which you just saw that first grader do. Know what is expected of them, and in the most recent studies on success criteria, I feel safe and less anxious because I know what success looks like. Here's a music teacher who said, I teach all the kids all the time, every week. I cannot write all these different success criteria. So she lined them up this way. What's the outcome success criteria? What does it look like in each grade level? Now, one of the things I appreciate about this is if I'm a third grader, I know what fourth grade and fifth grade will eventually look like. Here's a high school science teacher who said, I want my students to have conversations in their groups during science. And I have to define what it means to have success in a group conversation. So she's practicing these with her students. What does it mean to listen carefully? What does it mean to value and respect ideas? What does it mean to think about what is being said? What does it mean to actively participate? What does it mean to ask questions? And if there's decisions, how will you be fair and compromise? Do you see the self-assessment opportunity? Do you see the peer feedback opportunity? Do you see the teacher feedback when the teacher's walking around to give students feedback about how they're participating in a group? Second grade teacher writing a descriptive paragraph. And my honest reflection on this one was, there's a lot of middle schoolers who couldn't do this. That's a lot of stuff up there, right? Second graders who are using this to self-assess. Now in San Diego, we are obsessed with, I guess, we love our I can statements. There are other ways to communicate success to students besides I can statements. We use a lot of I can statements because we flip them around to can I statements. Can I write a topic sentence? Yes, I can. Here's my evidence, teacher. Can I use descriptive adjectives? Yes, I can. Here they are. I highlighted them. So we have this turn into a self-assessment tool. This teacher writes, I can dig deep and write detailed sentences, and if I do, my audience will know more about my topic. There's all kinds of ways of communicating what success looks like. Third grade teacher who said, I want my students talking to each other. And I have to give them a rubric to help them understand their level of success in their conversations. Math using a single point rubric. I talked about single point rubrics last year. Maybe some of you have adopted single point rubrics. They're criterion scales rather than a 5x5 rubric. A 5x5 rubric is useful for grading. It's not useful for students to self-assess because if you have 5 levels of proficiency and 5 indicators, now you have 25 cells. It takes a long time to fill out 25 cells. And your students are probably now reading 25 cells. And you're spending your energy defining what you don't want students to do. So take your proficient column, make it a single point rubric, and let students use it as a self-assessment tool. Here's a math example. Single point rubric, you can see success criteria in the middle. This is the student doing all the work. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Here's my evidence. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And here's what the teacher wrote. When I saw this is a teacher from Australia. When I saw this, I said, this must save so much time in terms of grading and feedback because the student has done the heavy lift. The student has self-assessed. The teacher is no longer the decider of learning. The teacher's not saying you learned, you didn't learn. Instead, the teacher's role became validator and challenger. I challenge you here and I agree with you here. And it saves a lot of time. This led me to say, I would like to be, at the school I work at, I would like us to be in a different relationship with students. I don't want to be the decider, the arbiter, and the judge of their learning. I want them to do it. I want to be the validator. I agree with you here, but I want to challenge you here and change the dynamic. I don't want a student to say, the teacher gave me a C. I want the students to self-assess and me to say, I don't agree with you. Let's look at your evidence. And change the whole dynamic of how we think about evaluating student learning. Second grader self-assessing, the success criteria on the top, the easy ones are from past units, the hard ones are current units, and you can see the whole self-assessment column. The whole past ones I can do, I skipped one and I have 3 that I can't do. Helps you figure out where you need to take your lessons. Last video I'll show you is Sarah. I chose a kindergarten student, to finish this with, because if a 5-year-old can do this, a 9-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 35-year-old can do this. The teacher gave Sarah and the class a writing continuum. It's 10 levels long. And listen to this 5-year-old talk about her writing. I'm going to ask you to listen for her. Does she know where she is currently and what her next level of success is?
Sarah, can you tell us how this chart works? We'll point to them and tell us about it.
I know nobody's on this, but some people might not be on this.
How come?
Because some people won't do that because we're in kindergarten, but some people might do that.
Good. Now go further up the chart and tell us about the middle of it, Sarah, around the orange crayon.
Well, some people sound it out and try and make their letters neat on this one.
Good. And what about further up the chart, Sarah? Then what happens?
On this one, they try to sound it out. They try to make the letters neatly and try to make the thing right. This is where I am. I sound it out. I try to keep them nicely written. I try to make the right words. I try to keep the letters with a space before they start. And I'm going over to here because it's the last step and I'm over at the 9 step. This is the 10 step.
She's 5 years old. And if a 5-year-old can do this, all of our students should be able to do this. If the teachers provide the tools about what success looks like, students can learn to self-assess and say, what is my next level of success? One of the things I appreciate about Sarah, without saying it, what she says is, there's no bad place to be. What she says is, nobody's here anymore because we're in kindergarten, but some people might be here and I'm here. And in our class, there's not a bad place to be. And we're all learning. I'm here, and my next level of success is here. Now, she is in for a surprise because there are 10 more levels in first grade, right? You're not finished with your writing development in kindergarten when you get to level 10. But that's the next journey, and the next journey. And if we did that across her grade to grade 12, where Sarah said, here's where I'm at, and here's where to next, imagine the power of that kid's life. I'm hoping as you start your school year, you are thinking about student engagement, and you can use a continuum or something else to teach students about engagement so we're not frustrated by their behavior. And I'm hoping that we all commit to teacher clarity, that we make a promise that students will know what they're supposed to learn from us, that we will talk about relevance with them, and we will share what it means to successfully learn. With that, I'm going to close my time for this session. We will switch my computer if you're in this room. The rest of you, have a great rest of your conference today. Enjoy. Thank you all for hanging out.